Ever get that feeling, when the credits roll on a video game
Yeah.
and you're kind of left with this lingering sense, like you've just wrestled with ideas way bigger than the game itself.
Oh, absolutely.
That's what we're diving into today, why that happens.
That's a great point. And a lot of it,
Why so many games leave us feeling like we've gone through something profound.
it's the philosophy embedded in the stories, right?
Yeah.
We often don't even realize it's happening.
Exactly. The philosophy behind video games.
Like have those big ideas about life and morality and everything.
Right. Those really fundamental questions.
Yeah.
Yeah, they get woven into the narratives we experience.
And in this deep dive, we're going to unpack how that works.
We'll look at how the games make us think, really think, not just have fun.
Yeah, it's more than just entertainment, right?
So much more. And by the time we're done here,
It's like adding a whole new dimension to how we understand these stories.
you'll have a new lens to see through. And that's what's so exciting.
A brand new way to appreciate those games we love.
Exactly. So to get started, what do you think is the most fundamental role of philosophy in all of this?
I think it's about adding that layer of meaning,
Yeah.
It takes the story beyond just go here, defeat that.
Right. It gives it weight.
It makes us think about stuff like, what's right or wrong in this world?
Morality. Exactly. The game's own internal sense of ethics.
And the very nature of existence within the game.
Big stuff. And it's all there under the surface.
How society functions, all that.
And here's the key. In a game, you're not just watching.
Oh yeah, it's interactive.
You're participating.
Yeah.
You're making choices, taking action.
That's what makes it so different.
You're wrestling with those ideas directly, not just watching someone else do it.
So like, with free will versus determinism.
Ah, there's a big one. The question of agency.
That's where it gets really interesting, right?
Huge.
Yeah.
Are you, the player, really in control? Or are you just following a script?
I mean, the text makes a great point with BioShock
Okay.
in that whole would you kindly thing.
Yeah, it sounds harmless.
It seems so polite.
Right. But it turns out to be this really creepy mind control trigger.
It's like the ultimate betrayal.
It is, and it shows how the game can make you think you're making choices,
You feel like you're in charge.
when the whole time you're being manipulated.
The illusion of choice.
It blows your mind when you realize it.
It does. It makes you question everything you've done.
Yeah, and then there's Undertale, which takes it even further.
Undertale kind of flips it around, right?
It asks if your choices really make a difference.
Like, do they lead to true free will? Or are we still bound by the game's rule?
Right, even with multiple endings.
Like, how free are we, really?
Undertale really makes you think about the nature of choice within a design system.
It's fascinating. And then there's the whole area of morality and ethics.
Oh, yeah.
Like, how many games put us in these impossible situations
And many, right?
where there's no easy answer
You're constantly facing dilemmas.
and you're forced to make these tough choices.
Exactly, and the game rarely tells you what's right.
Like in The Witcher 3, every choice seems to have consequences.
The Witcher 3, oh man, that's a perfect example.
You try to do the right thing, but then something else bad happens.
It's never black and white.
Always shades of gray.
Yeah, you're always weighing values, deciding what's most important.
It makes you realize that real-life ethics are complicated.
There's rarely a perfect solution.
And then The Last of Us, that game goes to some dark places.
That one's intense.
Especially with survival and how far we'll go for the people we love.
What's fascinating is that the lines between hero and villain get blurred.
Totally.
You do things that are understandable, even necessary,
In that world, yeah.
but they're still morally questionable.
It's a constant struggle.
Makes you think hard about the cost of survival.
So moving on, how do games explore existentialism and identity?
Well, existentialism in games often involves characters questioning their own being.
Like, their purpose.
Yeah, their purpose, their existence, what it all means.
Like in Nier Automata with the androids.
Oh, Nier, okay, that's a deep one.
They have emotions, but are they really alive?
That's the question, right? Do they have souls?
It makes you wonder what it means to be human.
What is sentience? What does
Yeah.
it mean to have a purpose?
Really deep stuff.
And then Silent Hill 2 takes a different approach.
It's more about internal struggles, right?
Yeah, psychological horror.
The main character's own guilt and trauma,
It's all about confronting your inner demons.
which can be even scarier than any external threat.
Absolutely, and it blurs the lines between reality and what's inside your head.
Very disturbing. And it's not all about individuals.
Right.
Games also reflect on society and power structures.
They can be powerful critiques.
Yeah, especially with dystopian
Oh,
settings,
yeah, those are classic.
like Deus Ex and Cyberpunk 2077.
Those games show what can happen when corporations or governments have too much control,
When technology runs wild,
when individual freedom is suppressed.
it's like a warning, a what-if scenario.
Makes you think about the direction our own world is heading.
And then Papers, Please, that game puts you right in the middle of a totalitarian state.
That's a tough one. You're just an immigration officer, but your decisions have huge consequences.
Every choice feels heavy.
It makes you question your role in a system that's inherently unjust.
You can't just say, I'm following orders.
It forces you to confront the ethics of complicity.
Yeah, powerful stuff. Now, how about the really big ones? The meaning of life and death.
Ah, those ultimate questions.
Those are themes that games tackle in so many ways.
Some focus on loss and grief, others on purpose and legacy.
Like Dark Souls and Bloodborne, they're all about cyclical existence.
Those games, death is just another obstacle.
It's not the end, it's part of the journey.
You die, you come back, you keep fighting.
It teaches you resilience, the importance of perseverance.
To find meaning in overcoming challenges, even when they seem endless.
And then you have something like Final Fantasy VII, which focuses more on the impact we have on the world.
That game really explores the ripple effect of our actions, how they resonate even after we're gone.
It's about life and loss and how we find meaning in the face of death.
Really makes you think about what you leave behind.
Yeah, it's powerful. And what's so unique about games and all of this is the power of player choice.
Absolutely. Your decisions shape the narrative.
You're not just a spectator, you're a participant.
It makes the philosophical implications feel much more real and immediate.
Like in Mass Effect, where you can choose to be Paragon or Renegade.
Oh, that's a great example. It shows how morality can be subjective.
Your choices define your character's ethical stance.
And those choices have consequences. They affect how others perceive you.
It's like a real-life ethical playground.
And then Detroit. Become Human, that game really delves into the question of android rights.
Based on how you play, you're basically deciding what it means to be alive.
Exactly. Do androids deserve the same rights as humans?
It's a question that forces you to examine your own beliefs about consciousness and sentience.
Really makes you think about what constitutes life itself.
It's mind-blowing, and all of this philosophical weight, it can have a real psychological impact on us.
Oh, without a doubt.
It's not just abstract thinking, it can stay with you.
Games that weave these themes in, well, they leave a mark.
Like Shadow of the Colossus, the text talks about how players often feel guilty.
That game is visually stunning, but it's also morally ambiguous.
You're killing these beautiful creatures, and you start to wonder if you're the bad guy.
It challenges the traditional hero narrative, makes you question your actions.
And then Spec Ops, the line, that game deconstructs the whole war genre.
It pulls back the curtain on the glorification of violence.
Shows the brutal reality, the psychological cost.
It doesn't shy away from the darkness.
Makes you confront the true nature of war and your role in it.
Powerful stuff. So, as we wrap up this deep dive,
Yeah, let's bring it all together.
we've seen how video games go beyond simple entertainment.
They engage with these fundamental philosophical questions.
Free will, morality, identity, societal structures, life and death, it's all there.
And our choices as players, they directly influence how we explore these themes.
We're not just observing, we're participating.
Yeah.
And that makes all the difference.
So to you, the listener, here's something to think about.
Mm.
Now that you've heard all this, how might your perspective on your favorite games change?
What new layers of meaning might you discover?
And even more interesting, what might your gaming habits reveal about your own worldview?
That's a question worth pondering.
It might surprise you what you find out.
Absolutely.
Until next time.
Keep on gaming and keep thinking.